What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Making It podcast with Brady Martin. Today, I have a very special guest. He is my current acting coach, Michael Monks. You might have seen him in Dr. Sleep with Ewan McGregor. You just did Dirty John.
Yeah,
Uh, End of watch.
sure. I have a movie out now called Church People that you can stream on Amazon. I did a movie called Parallels, all about parallel universes, which is great. I did a movie called Ice the Movie. I played a Russian Olympic ice skating coach that you can currently stream as well on Amazon. So lots of stuff.
Yeah. So I kind of wanted to talk about, since, you're my current acting coach, you teach at the Ivana Chubbuck Studio.
Correct.
Um, so I wanted to talk very specifically about the technique that we use at the studio
Okay.
and how it applies to actually working on set.
Well, I mean, it's based on Ivana's book, The Power of the Actor, which is a 12-step process of breaking a script down from a character's point of view, and then how we apply our own lives into that. And we start with what we think the character's overall objective is, and that's based on the script from where the character starts on page one to where they end on page whatever. And we always want to choose an overall objective that the characters get so that we are not rooting for victims, we're rooting for people that are successful. And not necessarily successful in the form of what standard we think of, whether that's finding love or money or whatever that is. But certainly there's a lot of overall objectives that, are, we always want it to be a positive. Even if somebody ends up dying at the end, we want that to be a solution to a problem so that it's a positive, right? Even though society may think, oh, if you die, that's not successful. But we can't sort of bring our worldview of it that life at all circumstances is better than no life, not necessarily. So so we understand the arc of the character's journey, and then as each scene we act in, we break down into a scene objective from the character's point of view about what they're seeking in order to support the pursuit of their overall objective. Now, there'll be a lot of scene objectives you don't get, but you always want to get your overall objective. And then as we move through what the obstacles are for the character's journey, we delineate those. And those are the first three steps of the technique. And all of that is based on the character's point of view. Then in our specific technique, we bring in substitution in the next step, which is how we're going to personalize the journey of the character, that it's personalizing us into that character. We're not putting the character on from the outside in. We are understanding the character's journey, and then we're going to mirror that journey within ourselves. And as we move through the technique, we personalize what the characters are talking about with what our relationship is with the substitution we use. And all I like to say, it's not a reinvention of the wheel, but a customization of it, because virtually all acting techniques are based in Stanislavski at some point. And American acting basically was derived from trying to replicate the group theater in Russia that was Stanislavski's company. And then there was a group of American acting teachers, at the time actors, that became the American group theater. And we had, Herbert Bergdorf and Lee Strasberg and Udo Hagen and Sandy Meisner and Stella Adler, and all of those guys were working together in the American group theater. And then they all branched off and did their own take on Stanislavski and basically created the techniques of American acting. And it's all whether what suits you. I mean, all the roads lead to Rome. Every acting school in either coast has very successful Oscar-winning actors. So it isn't necessarily the technique that makes it, it's what technique fits best for you as an actor that resonates with you. And What's nice about the technique is that it gives you a structure, a foundation. You work through the steps to personalize your work, and it brings a depth and investment in what you're trying to get, just like the character has a depth and an investment in achieving their objectives.
Hmm. So one of the things I talked about with Andy was we use like current things that we're working through,
Mhm.
and those tend to be the strongest. Um, am I understanding that correctly?
Well, again, let's say the character is seeking love in their lives. Okay. Scene objective, the character is seeking love. And where do we seek love as Brady, as Michael? Now, it doesn't have to be linear and doesn't have to be situational. The character may be seeking romantic love, but I may have romantic love, right? But then what love am I looking for? I may be looking for love from an agent. And in the context of that relationship, achieving that love would be them representing me. I may be seeking love from a director, and that love would be the equivalent of being cast in the part, right? Because in the context, that's what in a business relationship, the job is the ultimate love, right? Whether it's a casting director seeking love from, you know, getting an audition, or whatever, your boss getting, a promotion from your boss. So we don't have to match the situation, because while a lot of film scripts are about slice of life that's very easy to relate to, what do you do if you're playing a vampire, or you're playing a transformer, or you're playing a zombie? Well, we don't have those situations in life, right? So we can't go all of a sudden, all right, now I got to pretend I'm a zombie. No, you have to make a choice of what you think that zombie character is seeking, and then where would that equivalent be for you? And obviously, stuff that is available for us that we're currently dealing with or have a desire for is going to have way more investment than trying to go back and replace something.
Yeah, that makes sense. Um, so how do you do the technique for auditions?
Go the same way. I mean, a lot of times you're not given the whole story. I mean, I just self-taped something right before we went in for a movie that I was given the whole script for, so I know the whole picture. But I just have another one for a TV series that I don't. I just have sides, and so I don't worry about my overall if I don't have the whole picture. I just look at the scenes and I make some choices. And obviously, in the breakdown, you're told often a bit about the story, and the breakdown of your character, you're told a bit about your character. So we have to make choices. We have to say, okay, what do I think this character is looking for? Is he seeking power? Is he seeking love? Is he seeking redemption? Is he, um, and the script determines that. Then we put our interpretation on it, and you have to make a choice in an audition, right? Because what they don't want to see is you just trying to do it with the words. Right? You may not make the choice that they what they're thinking, but by as an actor showing that you make choices lets them know that you can bring to the words on the page to life. Now they may give you an adjustment and say, okay, like what you're doing, let's try something different. Okay. So I don't approach it any differently when I'm auditioning than I do when cast in a film. The big difference is usually the time. You don't have the time when you're cast in a movie. And I just wrapped something a couple Fridays ago, a movie I was working on. It's called Tier One. So I got the script way beforehand, had a chance to work on it, make my choices. Whereas this audition is due Thursday morning. So, which means after I get off this, I'm going to memorize it, work on it, break it down, and shoot it. So that's the biggest difference with auditions is often you don't have all the whole picture, and you have time, timetables that you got to meet.
Do you usually make like one choice and kind of stick with it, or is it like you try out a bunch of different things in the beginning and then stick with it, or like at what point do you decide like, oh, this is the one for this audition?
Well, and again, you sort of trust your instincts. You look at it, you read the words, you try to understand the context as well as you can between the dynamic between the two characters. And then you make a choice and you go. I mean, you kind of have to do that. I mean, you can play around with sort of different choices if you're torn between what you think two objectives might be and who you might use for that. You can certainly play around with those, but at some point you got to pick a direction and go.
Makes sense. So this is a selfish question. I feel like lately I've been making a lot of like kind of safer choices. Like
Mhm.
in my auditions I look back and I'm like, "Oh, that's very realistic." Like what I did was very realistic. Like it's like, "Oh, that's a real person. He's speaking real words." But it's like fucking boring, you know? And I'm just like, "How do I put some life into it or how do I like make it a more exciting journey?"
Well, I mean, the trap in that is to make a crazy choice just to be crazy,
Yeah.
as opposed to making a bold choice. And sometimes, you know, I mean, you can always take your take on it, but the biggest part about that is making a determination of your point of view about what the character is talking about, right? So, yeah, most of life is boring. I mean, 95% of life, we get up, we take a shower, we eat breakfast, we go to work or whatever, right? So we're looking in film and television and theater to have sort of extraordinary circumstances, right? Life and death circumstances. Um, Being real is not a bad thing, but that shouldn't, I mean, that should always come from a place of a reality of the world as opposed to it being fantastical. But if the character lives in a fantastical world, right? It's not that we're making crazy choices just to be crazy. We have to make choices that are justified by the script,
Yeah.
you know?
Cuz I look at people like Jake Gyllenhaal. He's one of my big inspirations right now and I just got to go see, well, actually Ambulance will already be out by the time this video comes out. So I saw Ambulance and like he played such, like it could have been such a cliche character that he played and he turned it into a very three-dimensional person, like a bank robber. Like you can imagine like, oh, that could be like played just so straightforward, like on the nose, but he had so much like intensity to it. And it's like, what, like where does that come from?
Well, I haven't seen it. I've seen the trailers for it. And, we got to understand why he's robbing the bank. What's in it for him besides money? If it's just money, if it's way more than money. Um, so there has to be a passion to pursue what you do. And the trap with, and often when it becomes two-dimensional is we judge characters based on a description. Oh, he's a bank robber. Okay, he's going to be this. Oh, he's a serial killer. Oh, he's a bad guy. Well, serial killers don't think they're bad guys. They're doing it for a very human need. Now, that human need may be tweaked because of the trauma they experienced, and they play it out in terms of killing people. But there's always a purpose for what characters do, and it's easy to judge them. People want to play serial killers as these creepy guys. Yeah, well, no one would go near a creepy guy. If he's walking around, hey, hey, what are you doing? It's like, okay, no thanks. Serial killers are charming. I mean, Jeffrey Dahmer, who stalked people, killed them, and ate them, was a charming, good-looking guy. It's the only reason he would be able to make connections with all these women or men, take them home, and hurt them, right? So if you think of an idea of a character, a bank robber, a cop, a lawyer, a serial killer, then that's where it becomes two-dimensional because you're not trying to find the humanity in those characters. We have to find the humanity in every character, even if they do inhuman things, even if they kill people, even if they attack children. We still have to find the human need that they're trying to fulfill by doing that. And that's how you get three-dimensional characters. Again, I haven't seen the movie yet. I'm curious to see how they pull the ending off. just from the trailers, but so don't tell me.
It's
But
really good, Michael. Like
yeah,
it was actually really good. I was expecting a very like Hollywood movie, and it is very Hollywood because it's Michael Bay, but
sure.
it's like I was surprised how much personal relationship they had in the film
Right.
between the
Well, you
characters.
look at, Michael Bay doing Transformers. I mean, Shia is amazing in those first movies. I mean, the level of commitment he brings to it. He's trying to save the world. He's trying to save his family,
Yeah,
trying to save his girlfriend. You
yeah,
know, so it's not just walking through it.
that's true. I got to so the screening I went to was like a Q and A with him, and he
Mhm.
was saying how quickly they shoot. And just listening to like based on what he said, it seems like that contributes a lot to the performances as well. Because he was saying that he doesn't like the actors to really go back to their trailers much. Like they're on to the next shot, on to the next shot. And so they're really just shooting out the whole scene basically. And he was saying it, that they shot the whole thing in 38 days.
Okay.
They were doing 120 shots per day. This is straight from his mouth. That's how I know this. Like I'm not like hearsay. Like he said it himself. 120 setups per day. Like that is insane.
Well, now remember though, that doesn't mean you're jumping to a new location. We can have a setup in a wide, a setup in a medium, a setup in a close-up. That's, that's three setups. Now, it's just moving the camera closer or swapping out a
Yeah.
lens. I'm not saying that's still not a lot, but you've also got a budget that he's probably got five cameras running half the time. So, money makes it, makes you able to do that.
His perspective on that was so funny. Like you could tell it was so like his experience because he was like, "Ah, yeah, we got I don't remember what number he said, but it was like many millions of dollars." And he was like, "Yeah, it's a small budget film." It's like, come on, man.
Well, you're talking to a guy who's done $200 million movies.
Yeah,
Well, if he's doing a $60 million movie, well, that's, like a third of what he's used to.
yeah.
Like 60 million still buys a lot of production value.
Oh yeah,
When you look at the car wrecks, the explosions, the helicopters, the chases, the gunshots, there's a lot going on there, you know.
yeah. He was talking about how like he's surprised at how little red tape there actually is for him. He was like talking about how he has like a good relationship with like the Pentagon and things like that, where he'd be like past the kill line is what he called it, and like all he had to do was like make a call, and he'd get like this state of the art technology from the Pentagon, and they were just like, yeah, sure, take it.
Well, because he's done movies that have showed the military in a very positive light.
Yeah,
You're trying to show the military in a bad light. Yeah, they're not playing ball with you.
yeah,
It's like the NFL. I mean, draft day, unlimited access. Well, because they're making the NFL look really good. Now, if you're trying to make the NFL look bad, they're not going to play ball with you.
yeah, it's true.
And so Michael Bay paints military in a really positive light all the time. Well, that sells, that makes people want to support the military, want to join the military,
Yeah,
So, and again, when you're that famous, yeah, red tape gets moved real fast.
yeah. Here's a topic that I don't know if I've talked to anybody else about. How do you feel it affects your booking when you turn in your tapes early or at all?
Here's the thing. I just dealt with a client of mine who was going up for a huge franchise, a lead role in a huge franchise. It was a prequel to what was already a trilogy. And they're jumping back, and he was going up for a younger version of a very major star.
Oh, is it the trilogy? The just
What's
kidding.
that?
There's only a
Well,
couple big ones coming
yeah,
out right now.
yeah, right. I can't talk about it
Yeah,
because I
yeah,
signed an NDA as he did.
yeah.
The He got it from his management, and casting had said we would like this ASAP. Well, ASAP really means as soon as possible. It doesn't mean now. right? And his managers got all up in arms and he got it on a Tuesday. They wanted him to submit it Tuesday night.
Hmm.
Well, this was 3 scenes, intense scenes, lots of dialogue. And so he was thinking, well, I'll just send one of them in. I go, no, you won't. An ASAP does not mean today. This is going to be a $150 million movie. They're not going to cast it tomorrow. And he was like, well, what if some star comes in? I said, a star won't even audition for this. So put good work out there, send in good work. And he was saying, well, I should have it in by Wednesday. I said, no. If you get it in by end of day Friday or even by Monday, again, this is not a TV show that's running like this. This is a giant movie. So do I think, and I know they say that on Actors Access. The sooner you get your tape in, the better chance to have it booking it. That's just erroneous. Now,
What about for like co-stars, like 3-line things?
doesn't matter. If casting put out 9 auditions to people, they're going to look at the 9 people.
Yeah,
They
true.
like you, they're going to like you. Doesn't mean they won't watch anybody else if they like you. They may even think you're the best actor they've seen. You still may not get the part for some other reason that you have no control over.
I like to assume that's why I don't get parts.
Well, there you
I'm
go.
the best they've ever seen, but it was for some other reason.
Hey, I've had a lot of times my agents called and said, casting said you were the best one in the room. You're not going to get the part. Well, I've done my job. That's all I can do. My
Yeah.
job is to put my best foot forward. And when I go into an audition, I think of planting a seed. That seed may grow instantly. Seed may grow 2 years later when the casting goes, man, you know who'd be perfect for this? Michael Monks. We saw him a long time ago. Now, I've been in the business long enough that most casting people know me. But if you're new to the business, I had a client of mine who's rather famous now, and he studied with me, and he was frustrated because he wasn't getting immediate results. And I kept saying, just do your job, plant your seeds, walk away, live your life. Well, he really wanted this one project and he didn't get it. And literally 2 years later, this director called him, offered him a part in a new movie with a bunch of very famous female stars because of his audition 2 years ago. Now, he didn't get that job, but he got this other job. So your job is to do your job and live your life. Hand it in, do your best work, hand it in on time. If they tell you they want it Tuesday by 10, you should be sending it in before Tuesday by 10. But don't just hurry through your auditions to get them in first, because if they're not your best work, it's not going to help you.
You've coached some pretty big people. Like, how does it feel knowing that you had a part in like their success?
Well, it's certainly gratifying. I enjoy what I do, but I see everybody that I coach, and same with everybody that I teach, as my peers. I'm not above anybody that I teach. I'm not above anybody that I coach. I had to do the exact same thing I'm coaching you on. I have to do the exact same thing I'm trying to teach you. Like with this right here, that's what I have to do on this. I got to break it down. I got to do exactly what I'm teaching you to do. So it's gratifying because I want everyone to succeed. I want everybody to book jobs. I want everybody to have an acting career. So I love working with people that book jobs. It's a blast, you know? So, and again, it's a team effort, you know?
Do you this is a funny question. Do you s- like still take class? I mean,
I
I don't
don't,
think you do,
not at the
but
moment. No,
yeah.
I mean, I've been teaching at the Chubbuck Studio for 22 years, and I started teaching 6 months after I started studying with her. She asked me if I wanted to teach.
Mm.
Sure, why not? If I don't like it, I'll quit. But I've always taught things in my life. I've taught martial arts, I've taught baseball, football to little kids, tennis. I do a lot of teaching, so it's a natural fit for me. Also, I think it makes me a better actor too, because I have to do with you during our scenes in our class the same stuff I have to do for myself. And repetition is very powerful. The more you do something, the more comfortable you get at it, right? So I studied with Ivana for an additional 15 years while I was teaching. And then I booked a pilot and I had to go to New Orleans for a while. And then I got very sick. I ended up getting West Nile virus, which almost killed me. And it kind of messed my throat up. So I quit taking class for a while. And but I'm working all the time and I'm auditioning all the time. And that really is my class, you know.
Yeah, that makes sense. Um, is there something like, do you ever like skip steps in the technique?
In terms of,
Like, do you ever, like, you've done it so many times. So are there places where you kind of just jumped? Like, because you've
well,
done it in order so many times.
right. Well, in order is important
Okay.
because each builds on the next. Got to know what your overall is to know your scene objective. Now, if you don't know the whole project, don't even worry about the overall. Go straight to the scene objective. You know, I mean, again, this, as I say, it's sort of a customization that it's all based on Stanislavski, which is the who, what, where, when, how, and why. You know, and that's the same thing. So, you know, what does the character want? What's standing in the way? Who do I want it from? Why is it important to me? How am I going to go out and getting it? With auditions, I would always do at least the first 6 steps because it gives you a great structure. Sometimes you don't have a lot of time. I've been called at 6:30 in the morning to be at an audition at 11 o'clock with 7 pages of size for a network show. Do I have time to do all the steps? No. But the more you do it, it streamlines it and you're not sort of, you don't get stuck as often. Just like first time you learn to drive, you're like this. And now you're drinking, you're driving, you're talking on your phone because it's second nature to you.
Yeah.
But I don't skip them in terms of trying to cheat the technique. And again, all techniques are what works for you, what doesn't work for you. You know, when you're at the studio, I strongly encourage people to embrace the technique, to work the steps. Out in the real world, do whatever gets you hired. I mean, if you can fake it and get hired, knock yourself out.
Yeah.
You know, we're
I
trying to
do.
get
I like that about you. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
no, go ahead.
No, I like that about you, that it's very much more about like what works and not so much about like you have to do this. This is the law. It's like the end goal with you is very clearly like we want you to work on set. That's the end goal. And it's like whatever we can do to try to make you the best so you can do that, all for it. Or at least that's what it seems like with you. That leads me to my next question though, because there's this idea, I think, a lot with other acting teachers that I've seen of like maybe a right way and a wrong way to do the scene. And something that you really stress in class is more and less effective. Because I know, or at least I assume you agree, there's a million ways that you could do a scene, a million like right ways to do a scene. But I kind of want you to explain the idea of like more and less effective choices.
Well, and again, it comes from the page. What is the character trying to do? Too often, people have an idea of what they're doing. They're not really doing it. It's like ask questions, expect answers, right? Don't just say the lines because you know what the other character's lines are. You know what your lines are, right? We've practiced them, we've rehearsed them. So we've got to be looking for something from the other character. It's always about the other character. I want what I want, but I can only get it from you. So my attention has to be with you, right? Am I effectively getting what I want? Am I getting you to fall in love with me? Am I getting my power back? Well, it's happening moment to moment. So you're always got to be looking to see how you're doing. It's like playing basketball. You always know what the score is because it's right up there, right? You don't play basketball and never look at the score. You know, shoot, we're 8 points behind. We better step it up our game, right? We're running out of time. So we always got to be checking in to see if we're getting what we want from the other person. Are you being effective? Is it an effective choice to what you're attempting to do? If you're trying to get somebody to like you and you're sitting there doing nothing but insulting them, that's not very effective. And that's not going to make sense to me while you're a couple later. You're like, why would she be with him? He's an asshole. Now, if the character has you saying stuff, again, we can make words mean anything we want with our point of view and our action on them. We can make yes mean no. We can make good mean bad by our tone of voice, right? And this is how you doing today. I'm great. Well, the line says I'm great. I just told you I am absolutely not great, right?
Yeah.
So too often people, that's why we have to make a choice, because I could be saying, I'm great. My life is amazing, right? Well, that's what I'm trying to communicate to you one way or another.
Yeah. The yeah, that's one of the so when we're in class, um hmm, when you coach somebody, you have a very good way of putting into like words. Like you never say someone's bad. Like I've never heard you be like that was bad ever. Like you have
No,
a very like you have such a poker face when you're watching a scene. And it's like I don't know how you can watch a performance and then be like, okay, this actor's this way, but I know he or she is gonna be really, really good one day. Like,
well, my job is to make you a better actor, whether that's from here to here or whether that's from here to here. That's what I do. So no one's bad, right? You don't judge a little kid when he tries to walk and falls on his face. You know, get up, you stupid idiot. No, he's learning to walk. People
yeah,
are learning to act. Acting is the only profession in the world people think you should be doing it brilliantly this first time you get on stage. It doesn't work that way. It doesn't work that way to anything. Tennis, try you what you expect to hit, forehands like Rafael Nadal the first time you grab a racket? No. You got to practice, you got to learn. So my job is not to judge actors, it's to help actors get better. And I would never tell somebody whether they should stay in the business or not because you want to stay in the business. Hey man, I'll make you the best actor possibly that I can. That's my job. We've all been there. I wasn't a great actor when I first started. I was probably horrible because I was learning. It's confronting doing this stuff in front of people. Triggers us in all sorts of ways. So yeah, there's a lot in martial arts. They say if the student fails, it's the teacher, not the student, and I believe that. There are no bad students. There are really bad teachers.
yeah.
So you got to approach it from that way.
Do you think everybody can be a great actor?
You know,
Because I've seen you personally take. I don't want to say bad because like you were just saying like it's not that it was necessarily bad, but it's like I've seen you make a scene like fly when I was even like how the fuck is it gonna go from there to there, and then you say like one or two things and then the scene just goes
well, what I tend
amazing.
to be is more specific. When scenes sort of don't seem to go anywhere, it's because either people are trying to rely on the words that they think the words will be enough, or they're self-conscious and they're not allowing themselves the freedom to play. Again, it's supposed to be fun, you know. Well, again, it's not brain surgery. We're not cutting heads open. Nobody's going to die up there in
Yeah,
reality, right? So, um, again, there are people that get cast for their personalities and have fantastic careers. They get paid a lot of money. TV and film. Are they amazing actors? Maybe not. But art is subjective. I could watch a performance and I could hate it and you could love it. Right? So it's art.
it's
There is
true.
no right or wrong. There's no that's good, that's bad. I mean, you may have a consensus. A lot of people think it's, this is great, that's great. You know, I mean, I personally did not love the movie Coda. Everybody else thinks it's unbelievable.
The couple movies I watched this year, I was like, I mean, I guess they have to give awards out this year, don't they? I'm so mean.
There were some amazing movies this year. Again,
Yeah,
but again, subjective,
yeah,
you
it's
know,
true.
but it doesn't mean a lot of people may not think something's great and a few people think it's bad, or vice versa,
Yeah.
you know.
It might also be like where I am in my life right now, that I'm like I kind of just want to be entertained as opposed to like be challenged.
Well, that's sometimes, my wife and I would do we look at a series and go, do we want to go to this place because it's dark and it's
Yeah,
hard? And it's no, no, let's have some fluff, fun comedy. I don't
yeah,
really want to go to a dark place. Doesn't mean it's not brilliantly done, beautifully acted. It's just hard to watch. It's a hard world to walk into, to get into, and to stay into. You
yeah.
know,
I feel that
sometimes
sometimes.
you feel like Chinese, sometimes you feel like French food. It's like, where are you? You know, neither is wrong.
Yeah. I always feel like French food.
Well,
Just kidding. Um, this is something that I noticed in class this week. Um, Sometimes I wish like we would like say what the scene is before it starts. So I like because I've never seen some of the movies. So like I sometimes it takes me until they're done with the scene to even know what's going on. And
and
then I'm
you
like, "Oh, yeah, okay."
it's written on the board right behind you.
I know, but sometimes I haven't seen those movies.
Okay, well, I get that, but it's that way you're going on the journey with them.
That's true. Like I wish like sometimes I wish it was just like in the last scene, she just broke up with her boyfriend. That's all you need to know. You know what I mean? Like just somewhere it's like, okay, where are we coming from?
Well, ideally, you're going to be able to understand that from the actors on stage.
That's true.
You know,
I guess ideally you would.
look, sometimes you strike out, sometimes you hit a home run. There's no difference. It doesn't mean the effort you put in when you missed the ball 3 times, it was bad.
Yeah.
The trap in acting is to try to get it right
Mm,
because it binds you up as opposed to make your choices, let it go, and go have fun.
yeah. Um, this is kind of I wouldn't say a debate, but like some of the other guests have talked about memorizing versus um, breaking down scripts. Where do you fall? Like I personally don't feel good unless I'm like pretty well memorized and have like a like really good idea of what's going on in the script. But some
Mhm.
people are just like I want to memorize it and just see what happens. Or some people are just like 100% like beat it to death, like do it over and over and over again until it's just like second nature. Like where would
Well,
you
again,
say?
there's a time issue. I mean, with auditions, I'm always memorized 100%. Now, there's times, rarely, because I memorize very well, but there's times where I just can't get those lines. And sometimes they're written in a way they won't come out of my mouth. Well, then you got to deal with it. You either got to use the script at times. But for me, my whole career, I've always been 100% memorized when I do an audition, whether that's in the room or outside of the room, a self-tape. So to me, I can't really personally, and again, this is a personal thing. I know in the book, Ivana talks about don't memorize the lines until you've done all your inner work. Well, in auditions, that's often not viable. So the first thing I try to do is I memorize my lines while I'm doing the work. I'm still knowing what my objective is, made the choice and trying to work with the inner work, substitutions, doing things like that. But I'm getting those words down so that I can freely act through them as opposed to struggling in my brain to remember them.
Okay.
Again, depends on how much time you have. If I have 5 days for an audition, it's easy. If I have a day and a half, a little more challenging. If I've
Yeah.
got 4 hours, it's really hard.
Where in the process of memorizing versus seeing breakdown do you put scene objective? Is that like the first thing you do, or is it
Well, yeah,
like,
I'll look at this before I even started memorizing. I'll read the scene 3 or 4 times and I'd make a decision. I think this
mm,
is my objective. It could be this, but no, I think this is the hottest one. You got to just make a choice, you
yeah,
know? And then, okay, who might I use? And then again, it doesn't have to be this laborious thing. I think this is my objective. Oh, okay.
pick it and go?
Yeah, pick and go. I
Okay.
mean, with auditions, you don't have a lot of time or other options.
How would you define acting? Like, what would your like acting definition be?
Well, I often fall back to Meisner because I studied with Sandy Meisner, and his definition of acting was responding truthfully under imaginary circumstances.
Okay.
Now, I would add on to that to actively be pursuing something that's personally important to you under imaginary circumstances.
That's a very specific one.
Well, because it's active. What I love about Ivana's technique is it's very active. You're looking at somebody and trying to get something from them. So the more you make it about the other person, you make all these choices that are selfish. I want, I want, I want, and then I got to get it from you.
Hmm.
You can have all the strategies in the world if you're playing soccer to try to score a goal. But then all of a sudden you got 11 other guys standing in front of you saying, yeah, we'll do what you can, but we're going to stop you.
Yeah.
So then you got to adapt to that. Just like if you're trying to charm somebody and they're looking at you like they think you're creepy, you better adjust your tactics.
Yeah. I like that definition. Pursue. So you said
Actively
pursuing.
pursuing something that you want, truthfully under imaginary circumstances.
Okay. I like that. That's a very specific one.
Everybody's truth is different too. So it's like just sort of, when people say, well, yeah, well, it was real and truthful. Well, yeah, grass growing is truthful. I don't want to sit there and watch it.
Exactly.
But
That's
got
what
to
I've
be
been struggling with lately. I'm
right.
like grass growing.
Right. Well, again, is it real? Yeah. Is it truthful? Yeah. Do I want to watch it? Probably not. Same with paint drying. That's real. It really happens like that. Not going to spend a day watching it.
Yeah. And the thing is like I'm not even necessarily enjoying doing it. That's the thing. It's like I'm not even necessarily having fun. It's just
Well,
like,
you want
well,
to fix that up real fast. These are great
yeah,
opportunities. It should be fun. You get an audition. It should be awesome. Oh my God, I can't wait to put this down and have fun with it.
yeah. Um, what are your daily habits as far as acting goes? Because I know you get a lot of auditions. Is it mostly your agent? Do you self-submit? How do you get
I
most
don't
of your?
don't self-submit at all
Okay,
because I have a great manager and I have a great agent and they keep me very busy. I mean, I teach it. I teach 4 times a week. I coach usually probably at least 4 or 5 times a week. So, I live my life. I mean, part of it is you got to live your life. You got to have something to draw from. So, got to experience life, you know. But yeah, like I got this audition I take tonight on Tuesday or Monday. Maybe it was Monday. Yeah, Monday. But I teach 2 classes on Monday, so I didn't have time to do much on it. But I printed it up and looked at it and started sort of mulling it in my head. And then I take that, like I said, I'm going to get off the phone with you and I'm going to start learning these lines because I teach tomorrow. This thing, it's not due Thursday, it's due Friday morning. But Friday I'm shooting, I'm working on a movie Friday and I don't know when my call time is. So um, I gotta, I will shoot this tomorrow night, right? So it's 4 pages, 3 scenes, quite a few speeches, and playing a retired general. It also takes place in Mississippi. They want an accent. So it's like, the ball's in the air.
do you have a dialect coach,
I
or you just
don't.
study it?
I studied, I mean, when I did the movie, the Russian ice skating coach, where it was with a director that I'd worked before, and he called and said, "Hey, I want you to do this movie for me." And he told me what it was. He said, "Sounds great." And I said, he goes, "But we need a Russian accent." Like, "Are there going to be any other Russians on set?" He went, "No." I go, "Okay, good. No, I don't have anything to compare me to." But I started working on the Russian accent that night with YouTube, watching, tutorials about, finding the way they speak English. A Russian, person speaks English. And I worked on it for a month before we shot in Colorado. So when I flew out there, but every night I'd leave set and I'd go home and just pound what I was shooting the next day, working on the accent, listening to myself, making sure I was hitting those sounds, And I mean, I still watch the movie. There's times I go, maybe missed that one a little bit. But where, it was all about young skaters. And a lot of the young skaters that we used were real skater girls, little girls, because the woman who wrote it, starred in it, was an ex-nationally ranked skater, figure skater. So, and there's a lot of Russians that teach in the world of skating. And all these little girls were coming up saying, "You sound just like my coach." So it's like, nice. So,
Yes.
but yeah, but no, I mean, there's so much access now with YouTube. And I mean, my gosh, the wealth of information to find, especially with dialects.
What are some things that are like, if you could tell someone who's never like been on set before, what are some like set etiquette things that you could tell?
Well, you never want to ask somebody what they do unless you know. Ask somebody else what they do. Because I was on set early in my career. It was my second TV job. And I was a guest star on the TV show Dallas. And I was doing a scene with George Kennedy, Oscar winner, brilliant actor. And there was a girl, I was playing a tech guy who was sweeping his office for bugs. And there was a girl playing the secretary who was a little clueless, and she walked up to the director and asked him, she didn't know who he was. And she asked him what he did. He was insulted by it.
Mm.
And, it's a no-no. I mean, generally, you know who the second AD is because they're usually the one that greets you as cast. You have any questions about who anybody is, you ask them because you don't want to insult somebody. I mean, this woman basically, she got cut out of the episode because this guy was really insulted by the way she talked to him because
Oh my God.
she didn't know he was the director.
Wow.
Just be professional, keep your mouth shut, pay attention, listen. Nothing is more important than what you're doing there, not your phone, not the food, not anybody. Pay attention and listen. Show them that you're a professional. And even
Do
if
you
it's background work, and background work's important because without background artists, we couldn't do movies, we couldn't do TVs because it would not look real, right? Now, background artists get a lot of bad rap, but when you're there, you got to be professional. Got to take it as seriously as if you were cast by auditioning and with dialogue. Show up on time. If your call time's 10, be there at 9:30. If you get there at 10, you're late.
Yeah.
First movie I ever did, my first call time ever on set was 10 o'clock, and I got there at 9 o'clock. And they were over the moon because they were stuck and they needed me to be there. But they'd already given me a call time. So it was too late to push. I rolled in at 9. I was in hair and makeup. 2 minutes later, I was in wardrobe by 9:10. I was on set at 9:15. And the director came up and said, "You just saved us so much money."
Wow.
Always be early. You can't be too early.
How do you deal with nerves, or how do you deal with that anxiety slash excitement?
Just focus. And that's why be prepared. The more prepared you are, the more fun you can have because you're not worried about your dialogue. You're not worried about not being able to do your job. So be prepared. And look, you get excited. I've done a lot of scenes opposite Oscar winners. Yeah, I'm thrilled. This is like, wow. You know, I'm acting with, Christian Bale. I'm acting with, you know, Glenn Close. I'm reading with George Kennedy, one of my first TV jobs. Won his Oscar for Cool Hand Luke. Such a fan, so it's like, you got to look at it from an excitement point as, oh my God, I'm getting this opportunity.
Yeah. That's that. I think Ivana has a part in the end of the book where she talks about like try to make yourself more nervous. And that, I don't know if you, yeah, I mean, yeah, you've read that, but um,
Oh, wait, there's
that,
a,
yeah, there's a book.
really?
Um,
I should look into it.
that's like if I ever get like super nervous and not even on set or whatever, but just in life, like that has saved me from looking like an idiot more times than I can count. It's just like try to talk yourself into the nerves. And it's
Well,
like,
part of it's just acknowledging that if you sit there and try not to be nervous,
yeah,
as opposed to acknowledge it, man, I'm nervous. And that lets some pressure off right away. It's like, oh, okay, yeah, I'm nervous. A teacher years ago gave me an interesting thing is that if you're sitting there nerves, you're ready to go in for an audition and you're starting to get nervous. It's like just literally focus on the room. Oh, there's a silver doorknob. Oh, there's a lamp there. Oh, that actor's wearing a blue shirt. Oh, she's got, tennis shoes on, because it just grounds you in your circumstances and just sort of let you let it all, it sort of is a release valve.
yeah, yeah, that helps. Um, I think we'll wrap it up here if that's okay with you,
Good.
because I know you have to get to to do your audition sides. So I have one more question.
Mhm.
Um, so this is a three-parter. Hold on. Where the heck did it go? Oh,
Mhm.
here it is. Um, if you could go back and do your career all over again, what would you do sooner? What would you leave out completely? And what would you do more of?
The only thing I would do sooner would have been come to LA sooner.
Hmm.
I spent 8 years in New York, and well, I loved them. Um, I got comfortable in New York. I had a good side job. I was doing commercials. Was auditioning occasionally for film and television, very occasionally. And I would have just moved out here a little earlier. But I really believe in life, you do things when you're ready to do them. And you look back, and if you regret anything you did, hey, it doesn't make sense to look in the rearview mirror. You don't drive that way. If you drove looking in the rearview mirror, you'd smash into stuff. Look where you're going. Look where you want to go and go. Be bold. Be bold. There's no, don't let other people dictate the rules you have to follow. Always be professional, right? There really are no rules if you're professional. In this business, it rewards risk, but it also, risk comes with consequences. You know, um, and there's really nothing I wouldn't have done because it all led me to who I am today. I mean, most actors want it like that, and again, it's a craft. Learn your craft, get good at your craft. Do that whether you're a carpenter, whether you're an electrician, whether you're a plumber. Be good at what you do, right? Put your time in, do your work. So that's really the only thing I would have done earlier, you know. But my 8 years in New York were amazing. I mean, I had a blast living in New York City, and it made me who I was to be able to come out here. I don't know that there's anything I would not have done. And what was the last part of that question?
What would you do more of? Like, what would you
Um,
just blow up? Like, knowing what you know, like, oh, I should like just take it to the moon.
well, I really, you know, I mean, I've always been very active in my career pursuing it. So I, I don't think there's anything I would do more of. I mean, well, I will say this. When I was in New York, I was so afraid to leave and go on vacation because I thought I might miss an audition. And I really changed that feeling when I got here and just thought, just live your life. Live your life. You're going to be so much more interesting if you take a trip to Europe as opposed to sitting here waiting because I'm afraid I'm not going to, I'm going to get an audition. Live your life. Have experiences. Have fun. You're far more interesting to walk in, and just too often people think you're only going to get hired because you're acting. And while yes, you've got to be prepared so when you get your opportunities, you can represent yourself. But people want to work with people that they like to hang out with, people that are interesting, people that are friendly, people that are happy, people that are fun. That's who I want to hire. That's who I want to hire, who I want to hang out with, who I want to work with. People that I'd like to sit and talk to. Too often people think it's just about the business, and there's so much more than that.
Yeah. Those are great ones.
Cool.
All right.
All right,
Well,
buddy.
thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
I appreciate you taking your time to do this for real.
Of course. No, it's great. I think it's great putting it out there so people can, hear from people in the industry.
Yeah. There's a lot of people that have already made it, that like make podcasts and do all the interviews and stuff, and I just want to be a person
Well,
in the trenches for it.
the making it, I know that's always the cliche of can I make it? Will I make it? Have I made it? Basically you just want to be working. Ideally you want to earn your living acting,
Yeah.
but we all have to have day jobs until we do that. So we're acting when we only got time to do that,
Yeah, I think
so
that's my idea
yeah,
of that as well.
yeah, it's great, so be careful of that making it, meaning it has to be this thing.
Just making a living.
Yeah, well, just enjoying what you're doing. I mean,
Yeah.
basic acting's like, if you can do anything else and be happy, do it.
Yeah.
If you can't, okay, then go all in, and do it until you don't want to do it anymore. And there's no crime if you don't. Doesn't mean you failed. It means I don't want to do this anymore.
Yeah, you're right.
So it's not like you got to go back home or with your tail between your legs. Oh, I failed in Hollywood. No, that's not the case.
Yeah, you're right.
This pressure of feeling like I've got to do something. You just want to have fun.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no place else I'd rather be on set. I love it. I never understand when actors are bitching about being on set. I'm like, what are you doing? That's where I want to be. That's
Yeah.
where I always want to be.
I've never had a bad day on set ever, and I've only been on a few of them, but there.
Well, I've had bad days on set, but it doesn't mean I didn't want to be there.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you, Michael. I
You're
appreciate
welcome.
you being on.
My pleasure.
Uh, that's it for today, everybody, and we will see you or you'll hear us next time. Bye.